All right. Man, welcome me back with applause if you must. I appreciate it. I was out last week, had a little cold, needed some bedtime. It happens, but that did help me celebrate the joyous, of all joyous, holidays, May the 4th. And I wish a happy belated May the 4th be with you as well. I enjoyed every bit of it, sitting around watching some Star Wars. Loved it. Yes, it is my favorite holiday because it is the one holiday when we get to sit around and truly spend it with the ones we love. Vader, Emperor, Solo, all the good ones. So that brings me to this week's, and if this is your first time tuning in, I'm Gator. I'm the host of the Heal Havoc podcast where we celebrate the villains in life, not the so-called heroes, not the so-called good guys, not the mama's boys who dress up all pretty and make a big commotion out of nothing. Well, no, we celebrate the true heroes of all the cinematic squared circle and shows. Yes, the villains. Ah, and what other villain? I mean, there was a lot of them in Star Wars. There were a ton of them. I have my choice. But if I'm really going to do this, I got to do it right. Straight up, 100% Vader. That's Lord Vader. To all of y'all, by the way. Yes, Darth Vader is the perfect villain for the Star Wars universe. And, he just set a precedence for anything. In the first Star Wars Episode 4, New Hope, which, eh, it was good. I loved it. It got me hooked. Actually, the first one I watched was Revenge, or not Revenge, but the first one I ever watched was Return of the Jedi. But I was hooked from that moment on. Had to watch every single one of them. Never, haven't missed one since. Watched them so many times I've lost count. But in the first Star Wars movie, Lord Vader was in there for a grand total of 8 to 12 minutes. And most of that was in the lightsaber duel with Obi-Wan. Yes, he 8 to 12 minutes. To give you a retrospect, for the numbers, people out there, that's 6 to 7% of the movie. Entire movie, he's in 6 to 7%. But if you think about what everybody remembers, it's how bad, how mean, how vicious Lord Vader was. He only took 8 to 12 minutes and put all the rest of the villains in that whole movie to shame. And as if we wanted to change it up, the Empire. Empire Strikes Back. Episode 7. Not 7, sorry. 5. Let's not confuse 5 with 7. That would be a travesty. But he had 11 to 12 minutes. Return of the Jedi, he had approximately 13 to 14 minutes. I want you to consider this. Badass Lord Vader is, if he can spend a grand total of 38 minutes max out of 6 hours and 21 minutes of original sequel or original trilogy. Man, I couldn't get that out. Original trilogy time. He spent a grand total of 38 minutes max in the entire series. People don't talk about a lot of the stuff. They remember that Vader in detail, caption. How could you not? He embodied everything that a true Sith Lord should. For comparison notes, this is going to it's going to rub a lot of people and make a lot of people angry, as it should. Jar Jar got 24 minutes in episode 1. Yep, he more than doubled up Vader episode 4. Yeah, he was like the biggest letdown in all of Star Wars cinematic period. But why is Lord Vader so popular? Why is he so great? Well, let's dive into the prequels on how he became. In all honesty, some bad writing in there. We all seen the deleted scenes. We know what it's about, and trust me, let's skip all the bullcrap and let's look at how Anakin Skywalker turned into Lord Vader. Lord Vader, was an iconic villain, hero, I should say, of the entire galaxy. So, episode one, we see young Anakin. He's a little kid that likes to fix things, take care of his mama. Like I said, a mama's boy. And then uh, takes off with some Jedi and pretty much just abandons everything he's ever known in his life on a whim. Okay, no kid that age is ever going to leave their mama. I mean, I appreciate the thought and I appreciate the storytelling. We should have went a different way with that. Now there is a lot of speculation that if Qui-Gon Jinn had originally taken Anakin as his Padawan, then we would not have seen the Darth Vader that we came to know and love and appreciate. And there's a chance for that. But that kind of changes the way it goes because we got the badass lightsaber duel at the end with Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul. What if Obi-Wan was never the target? What if only Qui-Gon Jinn was the target? Because we now know all the nice backgrounds and everything's going in. And yeah, this is a conspiracy theory on Star Wars, and it's going to be debated till the end of time until George Lucas either says things or doesn't. But what if the Emperor was so calculated that he planned on Darth Maul killing Qui-Gon, but not Obi-Wan, so it would turn out exactly how it did, knowing that Obi-Wan was not mature enough as a Jedi to raise and teach Anakin. Very good point on this one, because Obi-Wan himself had just gotten out. He was ready to take the trials, but he wasn't a Jedi master at the time. He wasn't a Jedi Knight. He was just a Padawan that was getting things going. So I think that's where the Emperor or soon to be Emperor, counted on Obi-Wan dropping the ball with Anakin and looking at him as more of a friend than an actual Padawan, which turned out to be exactly true. Now we get into the second Attack of the Clones, which let's just call a spade on that one. That movie was saved by a badass duel with Yoda and Count Dooku. That movie had some of the worst dialogue I've ever seen in Star Wars, but overall entertaining. I would still not count it as the worst Star Wars movie in period of the original, not or the whole Skywalker saga. So we have the Attack of the Clones coming around, and this is where we really start to see Vader coming out, and it's because he's been told to suppress feelings. And we're going to get into this in a little bit after this, whenever I explain my true vision of what a Sith and a Jedi truly are and why they're enemies. But we start seeing more of Anakin coming out and bringing Vader, where he kills the women, the kids, all of that little tribe. I was like, and then he's telling them he doesn't feel bad. He's angry that there wasn't more to kill. If you look at it, he was hating. He wishes there were more to kill. So that being said, we start seeing a little Darth, little vengeful anger coming out in him. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere now. So now at the end of that, of course, Dooku cuts off his arm. They get in one last little battle with Obi-Wan and Anakin, who lose. But Yoda comes in, dominates. Come on, who the man? Yoda man. Man, who can say otherwise? That one lightsaber duel kind of saved the entire movie. Definitely the ending. But overall, like I said, it wasn't the worst. I still enjoy them. So now we get to episode 3. Now we're seeing Anakin come into adulthood. He's married the love of his life, Padme. He's got a couple kids on the way, but he only knows of one. He is becoming a mature adult. Now he's also been through a war. So, okay, now if you watch the Clone Wars, if you haven't, I highly suggest it. I thought it was going to be crap at first too, but started watching, had to, just to say I did, and I really enjoyed. Loved a lot of the backstories, even some that didn't even involve key characters, because it kind of lets you in on a lot of the backstories on how it happened, what happened, and some that didn't even make it to Order 66. So, highly recommend it if you have not watched the Clone Wars already. But if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have. Kudos to you. So you have the Clone Wars that have already happened. Now we're at the end of the war, and we have babies on the way. We have a wife that he loves. Anakin's got it all. Man, he has everything now, which means he has more to lose. And there goes the key factor in all of that. Anakin was only a man who wanted to protect his family. Now, you name one man in this entire world, galaxy, wherever, that would not do whatever it took to protect the ones that he loved. Most men would probably burn this world to the ground if it meant saving the ones that they love. To be honest, hey, it is what it is. I'm just a bearer of truth in this. If you can't handle it, it is what it is. I'm like, but yeah, Anakin does nothing different than what any other man would do, which is why the Jedi don't allow attachments and things like that. Even though Obi-Wan admitted that he kind of knew it, I'm like, he allowed it because it made him happy. So, truth be told, Obi-Wan's really the bad guy here. Hey, oh, hello there himself. It is what it is. I mean, he could have stopped Anakin from early. And all he had to do was report him, get him kicked out of the Jedi Order, and he's done. Done. No harm, no foul. Anakin goes off to have a hot senator wife, help raise two kids. Obi-Wan goes on to be a Jedi and help kill the Sith Lords. Hey, it is what it is. But Obi-Wan let the whole galaxy down and gave rightful power to the ones that needed it. So at the end, we see the full transaction of the badass lightsaber duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin, the one we've been waiting on the entire prequel series, and it finally comes to fruition. And thank you for that. That was the last great lightsaber duel we have had in the Star Wars universe, and yes, I am counting all of 7, 8, and 9. There was nothing like that. 7 was saved by Chewbacca and Han Solo coming back, along with Princess Leia. So I mean, we'll get to those in a second. I'm getting off topic, but Darth Vader was really not born on Mustafar whenever Obi-Wan cuts his arms and leg off. He's still a little bit Anakin. He isn't born until right there at the end, whenever Vader comes to be, when he loses his wife, his kid, everything. Which means, and the reason why he becomes Vader is because he has literally lost, killed, or destroyed everything that he believed in and loved. There is no love or hope for him, only pain. That's why I say that is a true moment where Vader was born, because at that point, hope was gone. Hope was really destroyed. And if you look at episode 4, maybe A New Hope isn't about hope for a Jedi coming around. Maybe it's a new hope for Vader. It's a new hope to bring Vader back to the side of the winning of the rebels and things like that. I'm just saying, maybe that's what George Lucas had planned all along. Nobody knows. That man is a Star Wars genius. The first 6 proved it. The last 3 confirmed it. So, now we got all of this going on. And so we got all the prequels going on. We have Lord Vader, which, please, by all means, we all saw Kenobi, and I loved the fact that Hayden Christensen was actually taken back to do his Darth Vader thing, which I think was wrongly denied him, because as Anakin Skywalker, he was iffy, but as Vader and Kenobi, you got to admit he owned that. I mean, he finally got to bring the anger, the pain, everything, and you saw it on screen. It was awesome. I loved even the little bit that he was in Kenobi. Uh, I think we need a Vader series, a Vader movie. We need something about just Lord Vader between Kenobi and Rogue One. We need something. Come on. Disney, you've been stinking it up on everything. Give us this. We earned this. All of our Star Wars faithful, we earned a Vader series or movie. So, that being said, We see true Vader, and we get to see a taste of his power whenever he really pulls that starship back down. How powerful he had really become. So that kind of leads you in. Once you see that, then you go through all the original trilogy. Man, they kind of dialed him back. They lowered him down. If anything, kids destroyed him on his ability to really be powerful. They gave him hope again. But that's what happened. That's true. But what would have happened if Vader had not died at that point? What if he would have lived? Could Princess Leia have said, "No worries, Daddy. I'm gonna be your little angel now," and forget that he blew up the entire, well, kind of. He was part of the action, but he never blew up the planet. I was like, so maybe she could forgive him for a lot of things, but I mean, I mean, his death was necessary because he couldn't go into any life sort of after that. Now, we got through the original trilogy, which was complete masterworks. Loved it, every bit of it, even ever since I saw Return of the Jedi. I was hooked, like I said earlier. But the sequel trilogy, which was just trying to get through because I wanted to and I felt I needed to. I mean, they did Luke wrong. That's what they really did. I mean, Luke was not just some hippie that lived on an island and drank weird milk. I mean, he was supposed to be the most powerful Jedi in history. And what did they make him? They made him a homeless dude that just gets whatever he can. They did him so wrong. I mean, that is bullcrap. Everybody that's seen that, even Mark Hamill himself says Luke should have been more, but he wasn't. And we were denied a true reunion with Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewbacca. That is bullshit. Hey, that is true. Because we should have gotten, if nothing else, 2 minutes of just them sitting, talking, making fun of each other, whatever. We were denied. That sucked. All right. Oh, get that now that I got that out of my system. But no, the sequel trilogy was really about building up, and it led to nothing because there was no build up of storylines and characters. There was no origin and nothing to fight. They were literally fighting a menace. They had two big bads in two different movies because they couldn't figure out the one that they needed to focus on. Now, if they would have brought Palpatine at the end of episode 8, it would have made more sense while we're going into episode 9, but they didn't. We got Snoke. They killed him. It should have been over. But nope. Let's go to another one. Because let's face it, Star Wars and Marvel are the only thing that make Disney money these days. Okay. But it all ends, and the part that pisses so many people off is she was like, "Ray, what's your name, girl?" Ray. Ray Skywalker. If anything, we should have had Darth Vader come out in Darth Vader uniform and be like, "The hell you say? No, I ain't nobody baby daddy. Mm-mm. My kids are gone. See you later." That was the true, I mean, bullshit. They should have given her any other thing, but not let her be a Skywalker, because she hadn't earned that. Especially if you consider the lightsaber duels by themselves, nothing else. So, now, as I said earlier, my voice is starting to come back, still cracking a little bit, but as I said earlier, let me break down my opinion of why the Jedi and the Sith truly dislike each other. And to be honest, it's one sided, if you really look at it. Do the Sith hate the Jedi? Yes. Why? Because the Jedi hunt the Sith. I mean, think about it. What did Palpatine want in the whole thing? He wanted peace. He wanted complete peace throughout the galaxy. Damn, is that so bad? Peace? What did Lord Vader want? He wanted peace throughout his galaxy. Man, what do the Jedi want? They want order. And order comes from control. The Jedi had no direct line to making things happen. But let's face it, I mean, they were always pulling the strings in the back. They set up all the rules and stuff like that. Siths, And we, as we saw in earlier series, just want to practice the way they want to practice with the Force. But the Jedi uses anything that's not using the Force the way that they use it is doing it wrong. Why? Why? Seriously, why? If the Jedi are the only ones that are allowed to use the Force, why do we have so many people practicing a different way? It's the Sith. We have the witches. I was like, and that, of course, you got to watch Clone Wars and all that good stuff to understand that reference. But we have so many people practicing different versions of the Force. Some being just free will, let's go lucky. I'm a person of the Force. Some people using magic and treating the Force like all kinds of crazy, which I'll keep my opinions to myself on that one. But the Sith were just about emotion. They were about feeling. They were about like enjoy, feel everything you want to feel. That's what it wasn't evil. It was they were more in touch with the Force than the Jedi ever could be because they felt they allowed themselves to get angry when they were angry. They allowed themselves to feel love when they were loved. They allowed themselves to feel emotion, not just be a block of wood telling people how they should and should not do things. In my opinion, on that alone, the Jedi were in the wrong on this. They wanted to exterminate everybody that was not doing it their way. So if you're really focusing on that, the Jedi were always the bad guy. It is what it is. I mean, come on. Tell me how I'm wrong. One way how I'm wrong. Because you can't. The Jedi really control. They set up the rules where you couldn't do this. You couldn't feel anger. You had to know your feelings so you could suppress them. What happens whenever you suppress something? It explodes. Oh man, feels good to get that off my chest. Everybody I've always talked to is wants to throw a big fit when I say that. The Jedi are in the wrong. And look, why do you need 2,000 or 5,000 Jedi? Why do you need so many? For control. What happens whenever when the trade goes through? The Senate doesn't send their soldiers or warriors. It was they send the Jedi. Why? To get shit done. One way or another, they knew the Jedi would fix it. Or as aggressive negotiations, as Anakin Skywalker said, or true negotiation. But either way, they sent the Jedi, not soldiers, not senators, not anything like that. They sent Jedi. And the Jedi were happy to go because now they are involved directly in policy. Leave nothing to the illusion. Jedis were politicians, but they had no direct influence. They influenced from behind the scenes. So if you look at it that way, Lord Vader, Palpatine were never the bad guys. They just wanted peace throughout the galaxy and knew that too many people disagreed to make it happen. It is what it is. But on that note, I have said my piece. I had a great Star Wars week. Enjoyed all the Star Wars stuff. Put up my Star Wars figurines and yes, Star Wars action figures. I got them. I'm not ashamed. And I set them all out to enjoy the beauty that is. And I'll do the same thing next year. And the year after that, and the year after that. And I'll keep doing it until the end of days for me. But on that note, let us say goodbye. Let us say thank you for actually tuning in. I love the fact that every one of my fans does this. If you haven't already, give me a like and a follow. I celebrate the heels, the bad guys every week. And if you ever want to hear something, my take on someone, drop me a line. Shoot me a direct message on Spotify, Apple, or if you want to directly to me, go to hillhavoc@gmail.com. Drop me a line. I'm happy to see it. Love my feedback. But on that note, tune in next week where we will have a brand new episode of the Hill Havoc. Don't know what it is yet, but I got something cooking up. Till then, have a great one. And remember, heroes make speeches. Villains make content. Because it's the villains that get the shit done. Tune into Hill Havoc always, where it's here It's good to be bad.